Hello again, and welcome to another fairly brief machine video. This is a Myford Super 7, as it says all over it. This second lathe I've ever bought. I've had it about 25 years, I think. Sold my first lathe to pay for this, and been very pleased really that I made that decision. It's not my main lathe anymore, but I use it for all the jobs that need screw cutting capacity because my other lathe's a plain one. I've moved this onto a different stand. It was originally on a metal stand, but to be honest, I didn't really get on with that very well. It seemed to vibrate a lot, very poor storage. So I've made quite recently a sort of bespoke wooden cabinet for it, partly because it has to fit into an awkward space where the buttress of the wall encroaches somewhat there. So had to make a table to suit, given it cupboarding underneath, full of all sorts of Myford related junk. That gives quite a lot of mass to the cabinet, so vibration's pretty minimal, if at all. And I'm generally pretty pleased with that. Strong hinges, so I can hang things on the inside of the door when I get round to it. In common with the other machines, I've wired it up to a 3-phase motor on it with a variable frequency device and control panel, giving on this machine forward and reverse, so it switches out of the way of the green button. Green to start it, variable resistance to give speed control, stop button. And on the Myford, to be honest, I don't really use this very much, but it's got I put jog control on it, so you can just jog the chuck around a bit. And you do that forward and reverse. That may prove useful. To be honest, I haven't used it yet, but I had the switches available, so I made use of them. The controller is an Allen Bradley one, quite old now, but I used one on my BCA jig borer. I've been really pleased with it. It's a commercial quality unit, so it is pretty good. Quite noisy, unfortunately. The other one isn't, but this one is a bit noisy. Coming back to the lathe itself, it's a power crossfeed model, so there's power crossfeed control there. I'm sure lots of you are going to be very familiar with Myford lathe, so I won't bang on about too much of its detail. Scrappy bit of cardboard because I'm trialling out a swarf tray or swarf guard. I do a lot of work with brass, and getting the chips everywhere drives me to distraction. I've never really been very successful with guarding it. Just trying this as yet another attempt at it. Held on with magnets just to see what the pitfalls are of that sort of shape, and decide what to do. Another bit of cardboard work on the fairly new motor. Guard to keep swarf out of the fan assembly for the motor, because they cope very poorly with that. So again, trialing it out to see whether it's a nuisance at that size before I get round to making one out of aluminium. The previous motor had a sort of sieve arrangement over the end, which worked quite well on that. It looked very, very home-brewed, but it did do a good job. But when I took the motor off, somehow or other I managed to mislay that. I did do a workshop move just before COVID, and it was very, very hurried. I had a lot to move in a very short space of time and a 3.5-hour journey each way. So a lot of things went missing, including the stand for this lathe, because I just took it to the tip to save moving it because I hated it. I've made, as you can probably see, alloy raising blocks. Made those on the shaper. Quite an enjoyable job on the shaper. Even used it to do the beveling. If you've got eagle eyes, you'll probably see there's a little bit of chatter there. Not the most successful bit of beveling, but it stops me cutting myself when I'm cleaning up. Put quite a lot of thought into how I wanted this to be mounted. It mounts into the blocks, and then the blocks are mounted up from below, so there's no passage for oil or anything. It's all sealed round, because I don't like the oil getting down the bolts and dripping into the cabinet below, which was a feature of my last lathe. Set up at the moment with a bit of brass in the chuck. I've got a couple of top hat brushes to make for my clock mainspring winder that I'm working on. You may have seen a BCA jig borer video. I did boring these plates out. You read upside down. I was aiming to have it 24.0 plus or minus 0.1 mil. Luckily enough, it's come out spot on 24 mil. sort of academic because they're going to be made to fit that anyway, but nice to get something that actually comes to size. And those are going to carry this ER collet holder, which will go through the 2 plates. That will now enable me to hold on to clock spring arbors with an adapter, obviously. And then in between the plates, there'll be a space when it's actually made, and there'll be a ratchet onto that arbor, and I'll have to be able to turn forward or reverse ratcheting. So that'll be another video probably. Anyway, a bit of background to the Myford lathe that I've got, and if it proves any use to anybody, that would be nice. I'm sure we've seen so many Myford videos, you're unlikely to gain a great deal of fresh information about it, but at least this one's mine, and that was what this video was about. Thanks for watching.